everyone, and happy first day of spring. The day this episode drops, we are officially over winter, and it is officially the first day of spring. But my name is Sadie, and I'm joined by my co-host Tegan, and we have another episode of our Golden 20s podcast for you today. We're going to be talking all about spring cleaning to kick off the spring season. We have some fun input from you guys for this episode on your favorite cleaning products and cleaning hacks, as well as just sharing some of our own tips and tricks, knowing spring cleaning might sound really fun and great, but it is definitely a daunting and intimidating task. So we're going to share all the ways that we break it down and make it more manageable. But before we get into that, I wanted to quickly just talk about the first day of spring. I think, for me anyway, I'm so excited that winter is over, and we did definitely have a funny winter here in Toronto where winter didn't ever really hit that hard. But I'm very much looking forward to spring and summer right around the corner. And to celebrate that, I actually created a spring bingo card, which you can find on our Patreon. And we've actually been I feel like we've been doing well with the Patreon content for season 4 so far. Every Wednesday, we have a different type like blog post posted to the Patreon for everybody to see. And tomorrow's post will be that spring bingo card. So essentially it's just a bucket list of things to do throughout the spring season. I've been seeing so many people, even for like their yearly goals, we're going the route of doing a bingo card and just trying to keep things like fun and keep you inspired. And I don't know, just doing fun, different things throughout the season. So we created one for you guys, and it'll be going live on our Patreon tomorrow. But you can also find all of our episodes early on Patreon. They're also completely ad-free. So as you have probably heard, we've started using ads in our Spotify episodes, and I think actually on Apple Podcasts as well. Yeah. But if you listen to our episodes on Patreon, they're completely ad-free. And we have bonus episodes. So we've been doing just our weekly catch-ups, which we typically, Tegan and I, just like chit chat about our personal lives, give each other the tea since we last saw each other before we start recording the podcast. And we have been recording all of that and sharing it on the Patreon on Patreon every Friday. So if any of this or all of this sounds interesting to you, check us out on Patreon. We have it linked in the show notes.
I'm very excited, and I'm very excited that it's finally spring, because as much as it wasn't a very snowy, cold winter here, our winters in Toronto are very gray and gloomy, and we'll go months without sun. And then we had one day last week where it was like 20 degrees and sunny, and I was like, oh, maybe my life doesn't suck. Maybe it's just been not sunny. So I'm very excited about it, and I find that it's very motivational. It's like, okay, no more hibernating, no more lazing around, time to get my act together. And a big part of that is spring cleaning. I've started some of my spring cleaning. I did a big bookshelf declutter, mainly because my bookshelf was exploding.
Needed it.
Yeah, which is a good problem to have, but was also it took a while. And I think I can go into some of the ways that I dealt with that particular problem and that sort of thing. But maybe before we dive into our tips and tricks, we can talk about all of the listeners' favorite cleaning products and hacks, because we asked this on our Instagram and we got lots of good suggestions and a lot of things that I love too, that I was like, oh, I wasn't going to bring that up. So that is also very good. The first one that I saw was someone said a scrub daddy, which I think we talked about a scrub daddy in the past when I went on my rant about how I want the Crate and Barrel scrub daddy, but I still don't have it. I have a cream one. The Crate and Barrel one's gray. I'm still working towards that goal. But someone said a scrub daddy plus the pink stuff, which I've never used that, but it's got all the hype on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard particularly that combo is the cleaning dream. So it's definitely on my list to try.
Yeah, since we've last talked about the Scrub Daddy, I've purchased one for myself. I have the Scrub Mommy, which is like the pink version. And to be honest, I don't use it that often. I think it's just because I have like my go-to cleaning products, cleaning like methods where
Yeah.
introducing something new, I'm like, so when am I supposed to use this? Because I didn't really
Right.
have a need for it since I always have a system for things, but I do like it like on my glass stovetop. I find
Yeah.
that's really great. And like you, I haven't tried the pink stuff, but I see it all over TikTok. Like I go through phases of getting like the cleaning content, the restock content on TikTok, and I always see people using the pink stuff, but haven't used it myself. Good to know it actually does live up to the hype.
Yeah. Somewhat related to scrub daddies, we had two separate people say damp dusters, which is by the same brand. And I have one. It's not the official scrub daddy brand. Don't tell them. It's like a knockoff, but it works so good. And I also love someone's submitted it and called it the duster daddy. I think just by mistake. And that killed me. So yeah, it's great. It's basically like a sponge that you get wet. And then when you like wipe it across things, the dust sticks to it. And I like hate dusting. I find that when I'm using a traditional duster, it just gets everywhere. And it's something where it's like, no matter how much I dust, I still feel like there's dust everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where with this, you're actually like wiping it up and then you rinse it in the sink and the dust goes down the drain. So it's so good, like game changing. And they've now just come out with a product where it's a cloth, which I think would be even better because my only beef is that it's sometimes hard to get. Like you can't dust knickknacks because it's like it looks like a magic eraser. Okay. So you can't get into like nooks and crannies and that sort of thing. But now that they have the duster, damp, daddy, whatever it's called in sheet version, I feel like that would be even better. So definitely love that.
Interesting. I haven't heard or seen these before, but it's interesting because I'm a big like rag girl where it's like any old towels, any old clothing, I cut it up, turn it into rags, and then use rags to do all my cleaning. So I'm like, yes, it sounds like what you're describing. I'm like, but I do that without this like special product, you know, like I just literally have a rag that I get wet and dust with that and it does the trick. But this will tie into one of my first tips and tricks, so we will get to that in a second. But we got a few submissions about vinegar, and to be honest with you, this is probably my like go-to regardless of what I'm cleaning. I feel like vinegar is really good if you have marks on something. Like I'm thinking in my ensuite bathroom, I have like a glass shower and just like the watermarks on it, fingerprints, like it's so impossible to keep clean, but vinegar takes it like right off. Even on like cleaning your sink and, you know, just like marks that cleaning products can't get off, vinegar can. Even when I mop my floors, I use vinegar in the water to mop my floors. Like this is definitely great. Somebody also said the combination of baking soda, dish soap, and vinegar. And I have heard of this. I'm blanking on when I researched this, like what it was I was wanting to clean, and this was the solution. But I think those three things, especially if you're using Dawn, like Blue Dawn dish soap, those three things are like powerhouses individually in the cleaning space. And when they come together, it's just like the ultra combination of like a DIY cleaning product.
Yep. I am also a big fan of vinegar. When we moved into this house, the previous owners had smoked inside for decades, and we used vinegar to clean the walls and like the wood, everything. And it was such a game changer. Like you could see the smoke coming out of the walls. And I also use it if I ever have a clogged sink. Like we don't really use Drano or anything. We just like pack the sink with baking soda, pour vinegar in, and then hot water, and it like gets rid of any clogs. Yeah.
And if your sink like stinks, like usually in my kitchen especially, I'll have like food and gross nasty stuff where after a while my sink just stinks, and I do the exact same thing to clean it out. So big vinegar gals here. Who knew? What a funny thing to get so like passionate and excited about. But this is your later 20s. Welcome.
Yeah, exactly. It's also just good, like you were saying about having products that have dual purposes. Like vinegar is something like you can use it in cooking. It can live in your pantry. It's not like the kind of thing like, sure, I guess you could stockpile Drano and have a bunch of it taking up storage and then be like, if I ever get a clog, then I'll fix it. Or it's like, at least with vinegar, if you're like, okay, my sink is clogged right now. Oh, I can fix it because I just have it in my pantry already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get like a huge jug for like 99 cents. Like it's cheap.
Yeah.
Easy to get. Yeah. I think another product that I get extremely passionate and excited about, and I was so happy when somebody submitted it in our Instagram question box, was magic erasers. I feel like it might have been in one of our episodes about like things you need to know in your 20s. And I was like, I learned in my early 20s how magic erasers are actually magic, and I stand by that. I have a very white apartment, so I use it on the walls. I use it on like my kitchen counters. I use it in the bathroom, like on tile. Like I use this on everything, and it takes, again, those marks that are impossible to remove, magic erasers, clean it up. So I completely agree with this person.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the good thing is now you can often find like the dupes for super, super cheap. Ooh. So that is also a good hack.
And then the last one that we received on Instagram, I haven't tried myself, but it's bar soap to remove stains in clothing. And I could see that working. I think it depends on what the stain is. Like if it's an oil stain, if it's like, I don't know. I went to school for fashion and we had like a whole textiles class, and it was very like, use this to get like specific stains out of specific materials. So that's just how my brain works. But I'm like, I could see bar soap working, like just kind of there's a word I'm looking for that like, if you just have like dang it, it's big in like the DIY soap community. Oh, I'm totally blanking, but it's kind of like bar soap is just like straight up that soap. And I could see it being effective for stains in clothing.
Yeah. I've never tried it either. But
people are like, Sadie, how do you know about the DIY soap community?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, do you make soap?
I mean, no, I don't. But my mom's big into like essential oils and like creating her own like cleaning products, things like that. I don't think she's ever created her own soap, but it's just like one of those things that when you know it, you know it. If you know a little bit, you know it all. I don't know. And even like natural soaps and stuff. Yeah. I feel like it's all just like, I don't know.
See, I'm confused by soap because I have a cast iron pan and it was always like, don't wash your cast iron pan with soap. But now I'm like deep into the cast iron pan side of the world. And they're like, no, that's only soap that contains blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know what these ingredients are. And then it's like, remember, you said you didn't see Fight Club. There's like the whole soap plot line and they have to steal human fat to make soaps. And then the soaps are bombs. I'm just confused by soap.
Okay. That is not the straight up ingredient I was trying to think of. Oh, man. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to look for what I'm looking for. I'll have to look for what I'm looking for. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'll have to research, like look online, see if I can figure it out. But anyways, people are probably like, hey girls, we get it. Bar soap, remove stains in clothing. Good to know. Give it a whirl. But yeah, I feel like all of those were more like cleaning products. And I think what we're going to share with you guys is more like tips and tricks, like I said, to make cleaning more of a manageable task, I guess you could say. I know for me, I'm always like, especially if it's a sunny day, like you were saying, Tag, the weather's nice, the windows are open. I'm always so excited to start spring cleaning. And then about an hour into it, or I've like just ticked off the first thing on the list, I'm like, whew, I need a break. I need to sit down. Like this is exhausting. So all of this to say, if you feel that way, totally valid. And this episode is 100% for you. I think there is something to be said, though, about romanticizing your cleaning and going back to the whole scrub daddy situation. I feel like using cute or aesthetic cleaning products or even if it's like your own bottles that you put the cleaning products in, if it's things that smell good, you know, I feel like there's so many, especially with the whole cleaning TikTok blowing up, like celebrities are making like cleaning product lines and they're also aesthetically pleasing and get you excited to clean. This is kind of a silly example, and I know how not everybody approves of Kardashian founded brands, but I used Kris Jenner's dish soap, and you guys, it smelled so freaking good. This is Safely. They only sell it in the States. So when I went to Target, I was like, I'm just going to pick it up, try it out. It smelled so good that literally I would get so excited to do the dishes every day. And I hate doing the dishes, but I would find that there were nights where I was like, rather than loading the dishwasher today, I'm just going to wash my dishes by hand because I just want to smell the soap. So it's like, if you can find little things like that to romanticize and help you like cultivate the vibe, I feel like that can obviously really motivate you to clean and get you excited to clean. Even it's as simple as I like wearing like a matching workout set, you know, and like feeling cute and putting my hair in a claw clip. And it's just like, I mean business. And that's how I cultivate the cleaning vibe.
I'm also very pro, like, if you really hate cleaning, pairing it with something that you really like. And so this is something that's talked a lot about in Atomic Habits, but it's like, if you want something to be a habit, you have to make it, I think he says, attractive.
Like
and yeah, exactly. So it's like, whether it's you love watching Gilmore Girls, so you put it on the TV and you're like, I'm going to be cleaning my living room or folding my laundry for the length of this episode, or I'm going to find a cleaning playlist, or I'm going to listen to like a podcast. If you're listening to our podcast and you're like, I'm going to listen, you know, for an entire episode and clean, or audiobooks, anything like that, because anything that just makes it more enticing, and then you're obviously more likely to do it. Like, you don't have to suffer just because you're cleaning. You can make it like fun and enjoyable.
Totally. I just shared with Tegan a podcast I found called Fantasy Fangirls, and I'm obsessed with it. I've been listening to their episodes about Iron Flame since we just finished that for our book club, but I'm also going to go back and listen to all the episodes for Fourth Wing. So I'm like, this is going to be my spring cleaning playlist, essentially, is like, I'll listen, because these episodes are like 2 hours long and there's like 13 episodes per book. So that is so much content. And again, you kind of get lost in what you're listening to, or maybe you're talking to a friend on the phone. Like, you get lost in the conversation that you're cleaning without even registering that you're cleaning, you know? So I love that. And it's definitely something fun to try if you're someone who despises cleaning with like every fiber of your being.
Yeah, you have to make it a mood. I also am the type of person who lights a candle as soon as I finish cleaning that room. I'm like, I don't even need to be finished cleaning, period. But like, if the living room's done, there's a candle lit in there, because it's like, ooh, chef's kiss.
Yeah, that's actually something I was thinking about. And we've shared as a tip for just doing something when you're not motivated in general. So we can apply it to spring cleaning in this case, but focusing on how you'll feel after as a motive to actually do it. And sitting in my apartment on a Saturday night, since typically I clean on Saturdays or Sundays, but on a weekend night, sitting in a clean apartment with a candle lit and a glass of wine and like Gilmore Girls or YouTube on my TV, that is when I'm literally the happiest. I feel so accomplished. I'm tired, but in a like really good way. And my house is so clean. Like, there's no feeling better than that. So when I wake up Saturday or Sunday morning, I'm like, I want to clean so that at the end of the day, I can enjoy that moment. So definitely kind of trick yourself into it, I guess, but find, what motivates you. I also think, as much as we were talking about, you know, all those great cleaning products and different things you can use and buy to make it more of an experience and like aesthetically pleasing and stuff, I do find cleaning can feel overwhelming too, where it's like, I need a different product for every use case in my house. I need, you know, specific kitchen products, specific bathroom things, specific dusting things. To be honest with you guys, I have a multi-purpose cleaner that I use in every single room, and it does everything I need it to do. So I think, you know, try to find ways to simplify your like cleaning kit if you have one, or maybe start building one, but just like really narrow it down to the things like we were saying that are multi-use. Maybe it's a thing of vinegar and a multi-purpose cleaner. And yeah, just keep things simple so that you're not like, okay, have to dig through all your products to find the one that you need to do that one task, you know, keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, related to keeping it simple, one big thing that I've sort of learned through my 20s is the magic of minimalism. I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist, but I read like Marie Kondo's The Magic of Tidying Up, and I feel like lots of people read it. It's a Netflix show, so I'm not going to go into like crazy details for that, but that is still how I declutter. And the biggest thing, if you're overwhelmed by cleaning, it's probably that you need to declutter, because the more things you have, the more things you have to clean. So that was a big wake up call for me. And obviously, I feel like this is a journey lots of people go on in their 20s, as it's like, at least for me, I was moving a lot and you're getting lots of hand-me-downs. You have no money, so you're not like, I'm going to get rid of this thing because it doesn't spark joy. You're like, I'm going to keep everything because I have no money and who knows if I'll need it. And then it's like hard to switch off that brain once you start having a job and start making money and can start being like, do I need to hoard every single thing I've been given in my entire life? Probably not. And so that is still how I do the majority of my spring cleans. The two big things that I wanted to mention is, one, putting everything of a category in a giant pile. This can be bad if you're a type of person like me who makes a giant pile and then gets tired and abandons the giant pile. That's bad. Don't do that. But it's the best way to see the sheer amount of things that you own. And so the idea is, like, when I was doing my bookshelf reorganizing, I took every single book in my house and put it in the same room in a big pile on the floor. Because when you see how much stuff you truly own, especially when it's like a giant mountain of books, that's when you're like, okay, no, it's time to get rid of things. Mm-hmm. And then it's just so easy. Like, you can clean off your bookshelf, put it all in, get it organized. Like, I just find it so much easier to declutter that way than if I was looking at a bookshelf and having to be like actively pulling off books to get rid of them. Yeah. So there's that element of it. And then the way that I get rid of things is does this spark joy, which was a big part of that book. And this has just like shifted my perspective so much, because I'm like, why am I keeping things in my house that don't spark joy? Right. Like, it just makes no sense to me. And I found that I was keeping so much stuff out of guilt. If it was like a present or even like clothes from high school, because I'm like, well, my mom bought it for me and my parents worked really hard, and now I'm just going to get rid of this shirt. And then it was like guilt was making me hold on to all these items, where now I'm like, does it spark joy? No, like, it doesn't serve me anymore. And now I feel good about donating things, because I'm like, I know like someone else is this will spark joy for them, and this will help someone else. It's not serving me anymore. But that was just like not my way of thinking around objects at all, and has been a big lesson. But it just makes cleaning so much easier when you have less things. Yeah. I feel like where I really need to, or where I challenge myself the most with this ideology, is cleaning out my closet. Like, for some reason, I have a really hard time getting rid of clothes, where it's like, oh, but I wore that on, like, even if it's like to that night out, and that night out was so much fun, you know, like, for some reason, clothes hold so many memories for me, or like represent times in my life when I was wearing them. And it's like, I have this like emotional connection to them. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's good to let things go and move on, you know? And you don't need to be, hanging on to all this emotional baggage in the form of things and clothing in your house. So I definitely love the idea of only holding on to the things that spark joy. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of where you said you start your cleaning process. Where I start my cleaning process is by creating a list by room in my house. So rather than, you know, Tegan's example where she was just talking about like her bookshelf, gathers all the books and it's like, okay, let's do this task. I'm very much like, okay, I'm in my bedroom
what are all the things I need to do in my bedroom to clean this room and like deep clean it. So it's like, something like vacuuming the floors, like that's something I'll do through my whole house at once. But if it's like dusting, I want to also change my bedding, vacuum my mattress, wash the curtains. Like I just create a list by room, and then me being me, I then like group like things together and move through my house that way. But I think it's also just a good idea to take it one room at a time, especially again, if you find cleaning overwhelming. And I think the other really great thing if you do things this way is by tackling different rooms on different days. So if you have a list of things you want to do in your bedroom, you can do all of that in one day. And maybe that, is all you do that day, versus if it's something like, okay, I want to wash my floors, I want to dust all the baseboards, dust all the ceilings, and you're doing that throughout your entire house, you might be way more tired and it might feel more of a daunting task. So I think, no, it's okay to split it up by room, do a different room a different day. It's okay if your spring cleaning takes you, every weekend in the month of March and April to get through everything. Like it doesn't need to be done in one day, in one weekend. You can really spread it out and take your time with it.
Totally. I feel like I always bring up the Fly Lady method, but yes, you've inspired me to bring it up again. So in case anyone hasn't listened to any of our other cleaning episodes, I'm obsessed with the Fly Lady method. From my understanding, it was started with like housewives in mind, especially like housewives with ADD and ADHD, where obviously it can be a really big struggle to clean if you are really overwhelmed and you're like, I don't even know where to start. And so the idea behind this method is that you break down cleaning into really, really tiny incremental steps, and you only do a little piece every day. And then the longer you follow the method, the easier it gets. And so I use the app, and it does break down into rooms like you're saying. And then there's like a weekly clean that you do that would be things like not room by room. So like mopping the floors or like changing the sheets and that sort of thing. But it's just so good. So good. Because I'm the type of person who is like balls to the wall. I need to clean for 8 hours straight. And then the next day I'm like, I'm so exhausted. I can't believe I have to like scrub my sink again when I just cleaned for 8 hours yesterday. And so if you're someone who struggles with feeling like overwhelmed with cleaning, or you're like 0 to 100, definitely check out the Fly Lady method. It's just so good. And it's like small things, but they do make a difference. Like, and like little things like cleaning your front entrance, which I would always just associate with like my living room or whatever. But now I'm like, no, it's the week we focus on the front entrance. And then it's like, I'm scrubbing down the baseboards up there, like doing stuff that I would be overlooking because I was trying to group it in like with too many other rooms. So yeah.
I love that. I still haven't checked it out.
You have
all
to.
All the times you mentioned it. Yeah, I do need to. I do find that this is our last tip for you guys, is coming up with, your daily, weekly, monthly tasks to help you maintain your space, so that, these spring cleaning times, or maybe it's like a fall reset time, but once or twice a year, or maybe pre-holidays, whenever you do these big cleans in your house, you can really only focus on those tasks that you do only a few times a year, but the rest is like maintained throughout the year, So I think, Tig, you're saying the Fly Lady method helps. The longer you do it, you're basically just maintaining your space. But for me, I find I'm a very routine person. I say this in every episode where I get the opportunity. So I have my reset routines that I know work for me. And of course, that's through just like figuring it out and making things up for myself. Like, for instance, like things in my daily routine, in my morning and night routine that I love so much. My night routine, a large part of it is tidying up my house. So like fluffing the pillows on my couch, folding the blanket, the biggest thing. And I don't know where this came from, but I realized I did it. And since then I've seen it blow up kind of on TikTok as like the closing shift, or people like closing down their kitchen at night. So when they wake up, make their morning coffee, the kitchen is like clean and it's
Yeah.
like a nice way to start the day. But, you know, there's daily things in my morning and night routine that I do, even if it's doing the dishes, putting things away when I'm done using them on a daily basis, in the moment kind of cleaning.
Yeah.
I think all of that helps maintain it. And then there's things I do on a weekly basis. Like I was saying, my weekends are really when I dedicate like time, a good chunk of time to cleaning. But it's like on a weekly basis, all I do is vacuum my floors and clean my bathrooms. That's it. Then once a month, I wash my floors. Also, like wipe down my entire kitchen. Like I wipe down my entire bathrooms on a weekly basis. But the kitchen's only once a month. And then I like wash out my cat's litter box once a month, you know, but I'm scooping it every day. So it's like, I don't know, if you can think of ways to, again, just do these little things, work them into a routine, find a routine that works for you. Maybe it's using something like Fly Lady method to get you started, and then you figure out and adjust it to whatever makes sense for you. But I think this is like the biggest key in making cleaning less daunting and more manageable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Great.
And now I even have this is when you're like, okay, girl, this is maybe too far, but I have my like midweek reset routine because my cat is so fluffy and she gets litter everywhere because her paws are fluffy. So now I even have like my midweek vacuum versus my weekend vacuum. And it's just like, again, cultivates the vibe where I'm like, okay, midweek tidy time. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's a different vibe, but I like lean into it in a good way. And I was also going to share, this is the most random fact about me, and I don't know why this is the case, but I do my best deep cleans when I'm hungover. Is that not the weirdest thing you've ever heard?
Yeah, that is weird. I do nothing when I'm hungover.
Yeah. And usually I don't want to do anything, but then I'll start cleaning. And for some reason, I just can't stop cleaning. And I think it's because I feel so gross and trashy, where it feels even better once I do a deep clean, then shower. And then I'm like, okay, now everything is completely fresh. But yeah, I was just going to randomly throw that into this episode at some point because I wanted you guys to know I truly am Monica Geller inside and out.
You need to get into like drunk cleaning. And then you wake up and you're like, wow, look at me go.
Yeah. I drunk tidy where I like put everything in the dishwasher, take out the garbage.
Right.
But then it's like, no, to wake up, scrub, like wash the floors. Like, for some reason, I channel my hangover anxiety into my cleaning. But
love it. Great. Well, those are all the tips and tricks that we had to share with you all today. We put out new episodes every Tuesday, so make sure you are following us and subscribe so you see when those new episodes drop. Like Sadie mentioned, if you want to listen to those episodes ad-free, please subscribe to our Patreon. We will have the links for that in the show notes, description, whatever. You understand, as well as links to all our social channels so you can follow us in between. And I think that's everything. Thanks for listening.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.